Static. According to the dictionary, static is defined as unchanging, stationary, motionless. Static is the motionless state of something. It's the unchanging of something and the stationary of an object or subject in one position for a very long time. And the earth was without form, and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Genesis 1:2. Every person faces battles or hardships in their lives in one way or the other. Challenges are part of life and we can't avoid them. And that's the nature of things with or without our concern. Here in Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, the earth was formless, void and filled with darkness. This is how some people's lives are like. Firstly, it's filled with darkness. The most difficult thing there is in life is to lose your sense of awareness, being surrounded with darkness. Darkness not only covers the area, it also removes the sense of locality of a person or animal, unless if they rely on other senses. If you are a creature who is more in tune with other senses, then you are well and good. Unfortunately, with the presence of darkness in your life spiritually, there is no hope of escape. If you manage to clear out the fog covering your sense of sight, you are bound to remain in the same location without anything good coming out. Secondly, the Genesis 1 world was formless and had no sign of goodness. Thirdly, emptiness. Do you know that what keeps a person from doing the same thing over and over again isn't the ideas we have but the sources of ideas we have? You can take away business, money, customers and advertisement from a man, but as long as he or she has his source of business ideas, he is bound to rise again. Many people still have financial, relationship and family issues not because it's part of life, but because the source of their finance, the glue holding their relationship and the joy keeping the family together isn't there. The earth had plenty of water, soil and air to support life, but there wasn't any life forms anywhere in sight. When Elohim observed this, he spoke not life but the source of life to begin, and life sprung from the waters. The Genesis 1 story teaches man to have a clear view of their lives, and have a source of provision. But what good is there in having all of them, and yet there isn't movement in your life? Let's take a step back. The sentence in Genesis 1 verse 2 was in the past tense. The writer and the translators of Genesis use the word was, and linked with the word and, showing an indication of movement, a change, or a shift from static, unchanging, motionless and stationary to motion. Life came into this world because there was change, there was a shift, there was a movement. The Spirit of God provided change, movement and motion. In John 5:2-9 there's a story about a man who was suffering with an infirmity, disease or illness. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In there lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. A third of those present weren't disabled but the rest were. They were disabled spiritually and physically. What does it mean when we say disabled? It simply means that there wasn't change in their life. It means their lives stopped. Be with no change, stayed motionless, stayed stationary, became static. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. Here the scripture doesn't say that he stayed there for 38 years, no. Rather, he suffered with the illness for 38 years. This implies that someone or somebody would help him move from one location to another, from the pool towards home. He remained static, motionless, for 38 years, and everyday people would see him but refused to help him. The reason was simply because the help he needed was right in front of him, but he failed to see it. Imagine all of your life living by the help of others, and yet their help can't permanently remove your situation. This is what is happening to some people out there. We are living by the help of other people. And the moment they get occupied with other responsibilities, you are left stranded, motionless, a life without change, static and with nothing good coming out. Jesus didn't directly heal the man, he taught him how to grab, attract, or get the healing he needed. This was done through movement, motion, change. That's why he told him to get up and walk. He received healing the moment he applied movement in his life. Why people don't see things moving in their lives is simply because they themselves don't want to move. Until there was a movement, the earth was formless and empty, so shall it be with our lives. If there's an absence of movement, we will remain like that. Jesus walked on water, because there was a move. Man was made whole again because God made a movement. Jericho fell because the Israelites made a movement. David defeated Goliath because there was a movement. The early church grew in numbers because the disciples made a movement, a move made by preaching the good news throughout the land and having prayer meetings. Now is the perfect time to make a personal and a public move, otherwise it will be difficult for the Lord to help you. A child lifts up his or her hands, and the parent carries it up, because the parent interprets the lifted hands as a sign of, carry me or lift me up. However, not every move you make is correct, or helpful for your life. Take for instance, Jonah made a movement to Tarshish instead of him making a movement to Nineveh. His wrong move made him to live in the belly of a fish for 3 days. Always remember to make movements. Whenever you see that nothing good is happening, get up and do something to fix that problem. And also, let your movements be wise and upright before the Lord. This information was obtained from a documentation titled, Through the Scriptures, the Scripture is Key, written by Musanda Fred. Support by purchasing an ebook or printed copy of the book at Amazon Kindle website. Link is in the description box. Please subscribe, like, comment and share. Your support will be highly appreciated.